for our prayer time. Are we good? Are we live? Okay, I'm glad you've joined us. I want to start off a little different this morning. I was reading a little bit this morning from Philippians, And there's a couple verses that I just want to share with you, especially in light of the fact that we're going to be praying together this morning. It says this: don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all that He has done. I love that because it says pray about everything. That at times I'm as guilty as the next guy that we don't want to bother God with some of the small things in our life, but God wants to hear about everything in our lives. And so if you have a prayer concern that you want the church at large to pray for, we would encourage you to reach out to the church office. Just give us a call, or on our app you can submit prayer concerns that way. We would love to be praying specifically for anything you want us to do. So we're going to go through some prayer concerns. Do you want to start us off this morning, Chris?
I'd be happy to.
All right, let's get going.
Well, speaking of your submissions, we have actually already had somebody put something in the comments of our video here. Sarah Guerrero is watching, and she asked for a prayer finding some new employment. She's looking for a second job, and she's asked for some prayers for that. So, Sarah, we watched that. We want to pray for you. Just ask everybody to lift her up. Also, Floyd Lewis, his wife Tanya has been messaging us. Floyd's sister, Mary McPeak, has had some health issues. They've been trying to diagnose what's going on. They thought she might have had a stroke. That is not the case, so that's really good news. But just pray for them as they try to figure out what is going on with Floyd's sister, Mary. Also, would like to ask you to be praying for Whitney Knapp. We've had her on the prayer list a lot. She's got ALS, probably only about 32, 33 years old. And her mom, Loretta Cornick, had emailed me last week in response to my asking people to email the office email, and let me know she was watching online. I asked her how Whitney was doing, and she specifically said that she's really having a hard time sleeping and with her breathing. And so just thought it'd be nice to pass that along, give you all something a little more specific to be praying about for Whitney, that she'd be able to sleep better and breathe better, and that would be wonderful. Also, another one that I got off of those email responses was Justin First. You know Justin, right?
It's a good name, strong name.
Strong name. Maybe you're a little biased?
No, not at all.
Well, he's not first. He's first.
Justin
but
First.
Ranked next to you, I would say he's first.
Excellent.
So does that work?
I'll take it.
But Justin First, it's F-U-R-S-E. I actually used to always think it was F-I-R-S-T.
Oh, really?
But it's F-U-R-S-E. He was one that had replied to me that him and his family were watching. And he's had both his hips replaced this last year. He's been on the prayer list a little bit, had an autoimmune disease. He's really had a lot of health issues. And he texted me. He's just been doing a whole lot better. Actually texted me a before and after picture of where he was a year ago to where he is now. He looks really good. And so I just want to pass along that good news. And we definitely want to rejoice with Justin and some good health. Nothing I can do about the first name.
I know.
But you know, it was really cool to see his before and after picture. So you want to do a few there,
Yeah,
buddy?
I'll hop in. Ask you to continue to pray for Gajan, if you would. Gajan Hedrick, admitted to the hospital this past week, just really weak from treatments and everything. Had a feeding tube put in and running a fever and stuff. And so just pray for strength for that young man and for the whole family.
They were watching yesterday online.
I know.
They commented on there.
Yep. So be praying for Gajan, if you would. Some surgeries, some people who just had surgery, some people who have some upcoming surgeries. Lou Gilbert had his surgery last week on his back and is doing very good, is at home recovering. Continue to pray for a good recovery for him. And then Dr. Dan Brown had his hip replaced on Friday up in Columbia. He also is home and is doing well. The doctors were pleased with that surgery, so just pray for a speedy recovery for him as well. And then two upcoming surgeries. Mike Chavis has a surgery this Thursday on his neck to replace a disc. And then Sue Corey has a knee replacement on February the 3rd up in Columbia. So pray for both of them that they have successful surgeries and good recoveries for that. Then a couple other ones I just asked you to be praying for. Elva Abbott, a sweet lady who's been a part of this congregation longer than anybody, is actually having some health concerns. Gary brought it up this morning. He's an elder at the church. I asked you to be praying for Elva if you would.
She's going to be 102 in like
Pretty
6
amazing.
weeks.
Pretty amazing. Be 102 in 6 weeks. So be praying for Elva if you would. Ashley Winking asked for prayer for a friend's son who is a 5-year-old that they think that he potentially could have muscular dystrophy. And so be praying for that young man. I don't have a name to give to you. Just be praying for him. And then also Sue Armstrong is asking for prayer for her extended family out in Pennsylvania. They're just going through some rough times right now. And she asks that you lift up her family in your prayers if you would.
Have a few on our cancer list just to bring to your attention. Somebody mentioned on the feed to remind us to be praying for Joanne Newmeyer's daughter, Kim. She is currently in cancer treatments. Wendy Wilbanks has been one of her check-ins, kind of, and
Kim Hammer.
Wendy asked us to pray for her. And then also Michael Roberts and Margaret Hamilton are both in the middle of their chemo radiation. I actually got to visit with Michael last week. And then you mentioned yesterday, last week we had talked about Haley Story, and last week the news was that they thought her tumor was benign. They did find out up at Mayo this last week that is not the case. It is malignant. They're still kind of in the middle of figuring out what exactly they're going to do. That's how you understand it, right?
Yeah, I talked to Tara late in the week, and they're still kind of in shell shock. But I think the plan, from what he said to me, if I remember right, is an operation coming up in the next month and a half, something like that, is what they're anticipating. So
Terrell and Tamara are her folks. Haley's 20 years old, college student. Shandy was telling me that she had planned to go to Bible college,
Ozark, I think,
next year. So hopefully that'll still get to happen, and just be praying for that young lady if you would. Also, Sherry Wilson just found out this last week that she has stage 3 uterine cancer. They're still kind of figuring out her treatment options. Just lift her up if you would. And then, of course, continue to pray for Dawn Riddle, who is on hospice. Found out this morning it's actually Dawn's birthday today. And so, Dawn, happy birthday. We love you. It was good to see you on Friday. And just something to pass along. Again, some more good news to kind of warm your heart a little bit. When Brendan and I went out to see Dawn on Friday, there was a stack of about 10 cards that people from the church had sent. Mary Jane had just been out there. It was her turn to help clean, and they were raving about that. Also, Friday I had a really neat experience. There was a lady from the church who called me at the office Friday and said she had a problem, which always kind of makes me nervous. I don't know about you when people say, I got a problem. But she said, I got this check from the government that I don't need. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's not such a bad problem. And it was her stimulus check, and she didn't need it. She goes, I want to give it away to somebody who needs it. And so I had actually suggested, I said, well, you know, Mike, Dawn's husband, stayed home. He didn't get to drive truck. He was off the road so he could be with his wife. And she said, why don't you give it to them? I think that'd be a better use for it. And I just was really moved by that. I thought it was kind of a nice way to end my week.
Seems like the Lord kind of
to have
orchestrated
somebody,
that. Yeah, pretty cool.
To have somebody call and do that. And then there were other people like Dale Bleckman had brought some food over, and he had written a really nice note and a card about how when their daughter Megan, probably 20 years ago, was going to St. Jude when she'd had a cancer diagnosis, that Bob and Joe Campbell, Dawn's parents, had given Dale and Kim a bunch of Pizza Inn gift cards to help them with food. And so Dale just wanted to kind of repay the favor a little bit, so he had made him a homemade meal. Actually, I don't know if Dale made it. He might have had Kim make it. I don't know if Dale's a good cook or not, but
not sure.
You know what? It was so sweet, and there's just been so many people, and Joe and Dawn and all of them, Mike, have just raved about how good the church has been to them. So thank you for that. It just really, it not only does my heart good, it makes our job easier when we go out and pray with folks and visit with them when you guys are so supportive. And so thank you for that. It's awesome. Keep being the church. I do have a COVID list to go through. Do you have more stuff too?
I don't. I think I'm done.
Okay, so let me go through the COVID list, and then you can introduce what we're going to do last. We have kind of a little new special feature we're going to start doing every now and then. But in our COVID list right now, Alan Hill had to go to the ER on Saturday. Have not heard a recent update, but he's really been having a hard time with COVID. Tammy Hughes Baker is recovering from COVID. She was online yesterday with us watching, and she had asked for George and Rose Hughes, who also have it now, if we'd be praying for them. Mark Kearse, former chief of police, who was in the hospital for a little while with COVID. He's doing a lot better. He actually was here Sunday taking his turn serving on the security team. So that was really cool. I got to visit with him. Anthony Perona's dad is currently hospitalized hospitalized with COVID, and Beth Perona's dad was hospitalized. He's in the nursing home now, still kind of struggling to get his strength back, but both of their dads have struggled with it. And I mentioned a little while ago, Erica Smith's folks had it. She had emailed me again about watching online and had said that her folks were kind of in the clear. They were getting better, but still need to get their strength back.
Yeah.
And Luke Floyd, we'd prayed for his dad a lot. He was not given very good, chances there for a little while, but he is now getting his strength, and he is just doing so much better. He's still got a little ways to go, but his recovery has been really almost miraculous. And so they're really happy, really thankful for that. So his name is Dale Floyd. But you want to introduce
real
our
quickly
last
before
thing?
I introduce, I do have one more that I did happen to overlook. I'd ask you to be praying for Amy Hall and her family. Her stepdad passed away this last week, and so just pray for that family as they are saying goodbye to a loved one. We are going to start introducing some of our staff to you during the prayer time and just getting you a chance to see them. Some of you know them, some of you maybe aren't so
And some
familiar
ways
with
they can
them.
pray for them.
And then we're going to let you have a chance to pray for them specifically. And so this is Brandon Crosser. He's been with us for...
No, this is Brendan.
No, it's Brandon.
Brendan.
No, Brendan is taller.
Tomato,
This is a common
tomato.
misconception.
Okay, there is a lot of confusion from people in the congregation, which is Brendan and which is Brandon, and those
I
names
am
are confusing.
Brandon.
This is
I
Brandon.
am
To be
Brandon
fair,
Crosser.
sometimes there's confusion in the staff.
Yeah,
you go.
that's true.
I occasionally will call them by the wrong name.
Yeah, well, I've never been referred to as a special feature before either.
You are
and
a
so
special
that's the
feature,
first
so
time.
there you go,
So
there you go.
I just feel really good about
So
that.
how long you been with us again? I know this is your second bout with us.
Yeah,
'cause
this
you were-
is on my third year right now working at the church.
Right on.
So
Awesome.
I've
It
been here
doesn't
decent
feel
amount
like a
of
day
time.
over 10.
Yeah. I feel like I've aged
Welcome
a little
to the
bit
world of
since
Chris
I've been here
Foster
working
being
with you
nice
guys.
to you.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
so tell them what you do a little bit here at the church, and
Yeah.
then tell them how life has been a little different during this COVID season, and maybe a specific where too we can pray for you.
Cool. Yeah. So I work with Ben Harris. Me and him are the youth ministers here at the church. We are so lucky to be able to be a part of our youth group and our community because we get a lot of opportunities that a lot of other churches don't. We have so many students that are able to come and be a part of our youth ministry. And what I get to do is I get to kind of minister to our students and reach out into the community with that. So for me and Ben, as the season has been a lot different than other years, I would say our biggest thing is that we haven't had some events because obviously COVID has canceled some of those things. So
Like Hug Night?
Yeah.
Do you have Hug Night?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. We had to cancel that one. But after school, which is probably our biggest evangelism opportunity for our youth group, we obviously haven't been able to do that. But, there are some other events that we've had to cancel, including CIY last year as well, but we were able to do camp instead. But we have been able to do a lot of different things instead, like our fuel study hall for our high schoolers that we were able to do this year, which because they were doing hybrid, we were able to have some students actually come to the fuel building, do some homework, and get out of the house. And so that was something that I think was really different, really nice. But then there were a lot of other things. Like Ben and I have probably dropped off, well, obviously too many care packages at houses that students have been quarantined. We bring like a little bag of treats and candy and stuff and a card. And we have dropped off so many quarantine
my kids
packages.
didn't share any of that candy with me when you guys dropped it off. So
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
you
what
talk
about
to
a-
the
what
youth?
about like
Could
a
you talk to the
note?
youth about sharing?
What
Yeah.
about a note that says like, the people that brought you into this world maybe should get a piece of this?
Yeah, I think that I think that they normally try to give to their parents a little bit. I think I have faith in our students that maybe some of them did.
Well, mine were pretty selfish with that candy. Is all I'm saying.
I've had three
Well, that's-
boys that have all
That's
gotten
different.
quarantine
Those
bags,
are your kids.
and I've seen none.
Yeah,
It's preachers' kids in general.
that's what it is. But yeah, quarantine care packages, that's been good. But then if there were 3 ways that I could say that you could be praying for our youth group right now, I'd say that, one thing is seeing how we have all reacted to quarantine. and being taken away from friends and things that we can do. Just imagine what that's like for a student who isn't even able to realize just how bad we cope with being in quarantine in a way. And we have not been able to see a lot of students during this season. And so just those students we haven't been able to reach recently, I would say have them in your prayers. I would also say that as we continue going into the summer, we were blessed last year to be able to take about 50 students from high school to camp, and we were able to take about 50 students for junior high to camp. And in the midst of that, we didn't have a single COVID case. We were really blessed.
Yeah.
And we would love that same kind of amount of time too, and luck in that, just as God continues to worship or allow us to worship together like that. And then last thing is our leaders. We got a lot of great people that look after our students, and they don't get paid a dime.
There
So
you go.
They're
There you
great.
go.
Great
Well,
people.
I appreciate the update, and I'm sure that people are glad to be able to see you. Would you mind closing us out in
Well,
prayer this
before
morning?
we do, I just want to say, I forgot to mention one thing. You mentioned praying for our students and how they handle the quarantine stuff. Part of the COVID prayer list that I had was our high schoolers have been going to school 2 days a week. And as of next week, they're supposed to be going back to 5 days a week. And so that is something specific that our people can be praying for about our students who are high schoolers, that they make that adjustment.
Good transition.
I got to
Yep.
be honest with you. I got 2 foster boys I think that might have a hard time getting up 5 days a week again. They've kind of gotten out of the habit, even though I think it's good for them.
Yeah.
And we kind of laugh about this, but Brandon talked about how kids adjust, and it is a really serious issue. Brandon, Justin, and I were just talking about this. I don't know if you saw the article about the schools in Las Vegas finally said, hey, we've got to go back because the suicide rates amongst the teenagers have gotten so high since they had been out of school. And it was so bad that even though they had been ardently, shut down, like we can't go back, they said we have to go back because of what it's doing to our young people. And I just thought, man, that is really a sad situation out there. And I know that's going on a lot of different places. I saw one study this year that said during the pandemic, 1 out of every 4 high school students have said they've had suicidal thoughts. 1 out of 4. And like you said, it's been hard on them too. We tend to think what it does to us work-wise, what it does to us, family-wise, but it's been really tough on them to lose that social connection. And so glad you and Ben are out there to stay on touch with our kids. And you guys did a great job with the summer stuff when you got thrown curveball after curveball. And we just really appreciate you and
Keep up the
glad
good
that we
work.
can pray
season.
for you.
That was a good season.
So any other thing, like, relational things we could be praying for you about?
I am so
or-
glad that I don't have COVID anymore, because every Monday update that we had at the prayer meeting, I didn't have to
I want to make
hear
something
you
clear.
guys
I
have an
I
update
never
about my
brought that up,
relationship
Brandon.
status.
I never brought that up.
Thank you.
But
Chris
are there
Foster
any
brought it up.
relationship things we could pray for you about? Or?
Yes, I am in a relationship with Abby Gaskin.
All right, that is great. Hi, Abby. Good to see you.
All right, let's go ahead and have Brandon, since he's with us this morning, close us in prayer, if you don't mind.
Cool. Lord God, I just thank you for everything that you do for us. I thank you for the opportunities that you give us in the midst of a crazy time. I thank you for the opportunities that you give us here at our church and in our community. But I also ask that among these prayers that we have brought up today, you would also continue to open our eyes and ears to the things that you are saying to us and teaching us and telling us that we need to do. But may we be a light in the midst of a really crazy time. We thank you for everything in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.